Do you get the sense that that they're well equipped with their resources? I know that you said that other towns are coming in, but does there seem to be enough support there dealing with all of these separate incidents?
It does, Adam. You're probably familiar with the training that law enforcement and also firefighters deal with. They train on a mutual aid response when they have these MCI, these mass casualty incidents. Again, so when something like this happens, it's not like this is their first rodeo. I mean, some of the images that you're seeing are graphic and deeply concerning. But again, there's a chain of command. We know there's a command post that's set up. We just talked to the mayor's spokeswoman telling us that there is a command post that's set up. And again, everything is done in an organized fashion. You have the state fire marshals involved now. You have Lawrence firefighters, and the chief here would be handling the response specifically in Lawrence, and their mutual aid system has now been pushed into action at this. And again, it's probably worth noting, because you saw some of the response from southern New Hampshire as well, is it goes out beyond just the surrounding communities, because once you have the response here, you have firefighters from surrounding towns that are coming in to cover the fire departments to make sure if there are other calls or other emergency situations that they have to deal with, they are ready to deal with that. So they practice this, they drill for this. So as far as getting manpower here to the scene, obviously with this many fires and this many explosions, you know, it's getting very difficult to respond to these, and I'm sure they're striking and calling out more firefighters even as we speak. But again, if you can just imagine for a second, in Andover, they're working with their mutual aid. In North Andover, same thing, and you have the fire chiefs working with the police chiefs. We had talked to the police chief here, Roy Vasquez, a short time ago. I had a chance to talk to the police chief in North Andover, Chuck Gray, a short time ago as well. And again, so they're trying to sort of, if you can imagine, put things in order if they can here, and try to sort of prioritize the calls that they're going on. And as I'm talking, I'm just sort of looking around here because it's an eerie sight. You hear the sirens going off, and more police are arriving on the scene even as we speak, because they're getting more and more calls as these fires and these explosions continue here. But right now, it's worth noting that safety is first, and you heard Mayor Rivera say that when he spoke a little while ago. They just want people to be safe. Go to those evacuation zones in Lawrence. They're asking people, the police chief said he's asking people to leave the community and either go to North Lawrence or go to Methuen and just leave the area here. And we know that in North Andover, they're telling people to go to the middle school, which is out on Main Street, right at 125, and the senior center in Andover. So they're asking people that are listening to us because they just don't want anybody else to get hurt. As we mentioned here, it's just an eerie sight, just randomly looking down this street and seeing a house just basically blown apart here. And as we mentioned on Chickering Road here, that there have been 2 injuries here. We don't know the extent of those injuries, but right now, police, as the information is getting out, whether it's on TV, whether it's through social media, they just want people to stay outside right now if they need to be in this area at all, but stay out of their homes, especially if they smell any gas or anything like that. They don't want anybody else getting hurt at this point if possible.
So, Steve, I know that being outside where any gas would have the chance to, you know, air out itself, are you or police nearby, are you smelling that odor in the air? I'm just curious how much there might be in some of these homes or businesses in the area, if you can actually smell it from the outside, too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not smelling any gas right here, right now, but I can tell you, you know, as we were pulling up here to where we are, watching police, and it's a very rare sight. You don't see this, literally state troopers and police running across lawns and just banging on doors, because again, you know, as with the house behind us here, you're talking about houses that are buttoned up tight. If the windows weren't open today, you know, you're talking about houses that have been buttoned up through the day, so conceivably this gas really has no place to dissipate, obviously out here, and that's why police are saying this is the safest place to be. But, you know, I have to tell you, people are looking around here, people are scared, people are nervous, and people just simply don't know what is going to happen next year.
Of north or just right?
North end.
All
okay.
Right. some additional information from other people that we're getting on the line here, people who might be in the know in these various towns. For those of you just joining us or not completely clear at what we're looking at, live on the left is a house that has been reduced to nearly ashes, which is on Jennifer Street or Court in Lawrence. On the right is a battle that's happening right now in North Andover. That is also live pictures. So we're talking about 3 different communities or towns and cities: North Andover, Andover, and Lawrence, all in that area. The one on North Andover there is Phillip Street. If you're familiar with the area, that's where that big white house is located, and you can see they have water coming in all directions. There's a number of these firefights going on right now. Speaking of North Andover, Kim, glad you just mentioned that. We have Town of North Andover Town Manager Andrew Mailer on the line with us. Mr. Mailer, thank you for your time. And my first question is, we're getting indication from officials in surrounding towns that this could be a gas pressure situation. Wondering if you can confirm that, and then if you can also talk about whether this is something that's been addressed, i.e. shut off, shut down, something to stop this from continuing.
The information that we have is it is a gas-related event. You know, the specifics of which I think will take a little while to determine based upon some feedback from National Grid. But that gas-related event resulted in multiple fires here in North Andover, impacted somewhere between 8 and 12 homes. You know that there's similar impact in Andover and Lawrence. We've responded to all of those fires. My latest information is that we have those under control. We are informing all residents who have gas in their homes to leave their homes, to evacuate. We have set up a staging area at the North Andover High School if they don't have an alternative place to go. But we're asking everybody with gas to leave their homes until further notice. So, Mr. Mailer, does that mean that the gas has not been shut off? Because there wouldn't be a threat if gas was no longer coming into people's homes, correct? Or I think at this point we're just not sure, given the amount of information, the amount of geographic area impacted, the number of homes impacted. We want to take the precautionary step of making sure that our residents are safe until such time as we feel 100% comfortable that we can take next steps and return them to their homes. Yes, and our Dan Housley just made an excellent point to me, which is if your house is all closed up, there still could be gas that has built up in there and still be a threat, even though there's no further gas coming into the home. So, again, we're speaking with North Andover's town manager, Andrew Mailer, and we're talking about the scope of this. And you're the first person that we've actually spoken to from North Andover. You have people being evacuated any place? Where do people go? And again, we have had as many as 50 structures, but how many do you believe might be affected in your town? I've seen a tentative list that again looks to be between 8 and 12. Again, I think we're still working on that to find out what those final numbers are. In some cases, as you said, maybe someone hasn't returned home from work or from visiting someone. So that's an estimate of the structures impacted. Obviously, some more severe than others. We've had several working fires and some smaller fires that are under control. Obviously, our fire department is doing an extraordinary job under some really difficult circumstances, and our PD is responding as well. So we are telling people, again, just as a reminder, if you have gas in your home, leave the home, evacuate, move on. We are offering a staging area at the high school. The American Red Cross is at our high school currently for folks to assist folks, and we would recommend that rather than risk any possibility of impact on someone's health or damage, that they just evacuate their homes until further notice, if they have gas.
All right, that's Andrew Mailer, the town manager for North Andover, confirming some information from your jurisdiction. Mr. Mailer, thank you. Stay safe, and we appreciate your time. Kim? So again, just the same advice, that if you have gas in your home and you're in one of these areas, it's just wise to leave. And again, commending and just in awe of these firefighters who are fighting as many as 50 fires across these 3 communities, so cities and town. We have now gone from Lawrence to North Andover. Let's get some more information on Andover. The town manager, Andrew Flanagan, joining us on the line. Manager Flanagan, thank you. And what can you tell us about the Andover situation?
Andover Fire Rescue and Andover Police are currently and actively responding to the reports of structure fires across the community right now. Initial reports report as many as 20 to 25 active fire scenes.
And what about the region for you? I mean, we're seeing it's always sporadic, but is it concentrated in one area of Andover or across the whole town, city?
Right now, we're still evaluating the situation to see if geographically it's centered to a certain part of town. But right now, we see that we're responding across the community.
Andrew, Adam Williams here, continuing our coverage, and I just wanted to pause, and I'm sure that you would like to reflect as well, that we are watching people's homes burn. This is sad and tragic in every way. A lot of homes and lives turned upside down today, along with a couple of injuries reported. I assume you're keeping track of any injuries there in Andover. If you could shed some light on that, and also wondering that if you have set forth evacuation orders, how long do you suspect it'll be before people are allowed to go back into their homes? Because as I understand it, utilities have to go in and sort of give an all clear, so you must have a real methodology moving into the evening and nighttime hours here, or would have to develop one at some point, I would assume.
So we've activated our emergency operations center and organized town assets, in addition to public safety, public health, the school department, community services. As we proceed into the evening hours, we're leveraging assets from across the region and the Commonwealth. We've asked all residents with gas service and all businesses with gas service to evacuate their property, their homes or their businesses. And that will be till further notice, and we'll do our best through the evening, understanding it's a very difficult time for our residents and businesses, to keep them informed of when they may be able to return.
Manager Flanagan, you talked about 20 to 25 structures. We've seen an incredible response, but I don't know if you've ever seen anything like this in Andover before, and are you getting the help that you need to cover that sort of need in your town?
We certainly haven't seen this in Andover, but we're leveraging resources from the NEMLAC and NEMA, and we got reports of fire units deploying from as far as Boston at this point.
And I'm sorry, I don't know if we asked you if you've had any reports of any injuries in Andover.
Not at this time.
Well, that's some good news. Andover Town Manager Andrew Flanagan, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Everybody's thinking about your town and the surrounding area. If you hear anything else that would be valuable to our viewers, please don't hesitate to connect once again.
And from the town manager of Andover, we will move to our own Tim Caputo, who's live on the ground in Lawrence. As we continue to look from these live images, let's see, to the right, that's North Andover, to the left, Lawrence, where you can't even see the home anymore. They've put water on these flames, and now it's this white smoke. So, Tim, where exactly are you in Lawrence, and what are you seeing, smelling, hearing?
We are on Jefferson Street, the house that you could barely see now because of all that thick smoke. I'm actually right across the street, right next to the house, as firefighters have finally converged on this home, although at this point it is way too late. I could see through the front door. I could see all the way inside the house. There is nothing left. You're talking 2 walls on the outside, and everything else has just been completely burned by this fire. You guys recall this was the fire you guys were watching a little while ago that didn't have any fireproofs here because of all the other scenes going on. Right now there are 3 trucks here, 2 from Lowell, 1 from Salem. Actually, as we were driving up on 93, you could hear the water from the ladder trucks just kind of dousing this home with flames still going on right now. As we were coming up, you're telling me to move back a little bit because of these cables that are about to come down here, so we're going to take a couple steps back. But we saw fire trucks from Malden, from Melrose, from Woburn, from Lexington, all coming up 93 to assist. The home we're at here, I'm told no one was home at the time when this fire began. The fire has obviously been burning for quite some time, 20, 30 minutes before the crews could even get here because they were busy fighting other fires here in town. Now that they've finally arrived here, they have a brick kind of stairwell into the house, and that's at this point the only thing that remains of the front portion of this house. As they've doused it with a little more water, the entire front facade of the home is gone. The side wall is about to collapse, and everything, absolutely everything inside is gone. on. It's rare you see this. Typically, when you have a total loss of a home, you have at least some skeleton of the structure that remains. This one went burning for quite some time before any crews could get here, and it's absolutely devastating. There is nothing left.